top pick number 1, Bank of America.
So as a thematic investor, we look for sectors or themes that are going through significant shifts that can give a very long runway for the industry and specific companies to be revalued. We know what happened to the U.S. banks going through the crisis. We know what happened to banks as interest rates fell for 30 years. Their net interest margins were compressed. Bank of America, second biggest bank in the U.S., 85% of its revenue comes out of the U.S., is trading at 1 times book value. In fact, just under 1 times book value.
And the Canadian banks will be closer to what?
Well, they're much more expensive than the U.S. banks. Now, what's interesting here? First of all, it's inexpensive from a multiple perspective, and U.S. banks have traded at 2 to 3 times book value at times in the past. So this multiple can go higher. Assuming, they can grow book value, that would be even better. They're growing their book value at north of 15%. They are helped by rising rates. We believe we turned the corner last year on interest rates. They've reported in each of the last 2 quarters very significant increases to their net interest margins in the order of $500 million per quarter. Coming up in June, they will get the CCAR assessment as to whether they can return more capital to shareholders. They're generating a ton of cash, so their dividends should continue to accelerate. The U.S. banks started to outperform in June of last year. They've just had a classic pullback toward the 150-day moving average as rates pulled back a little bit. This gives investors a great entry point. Technically, the group looks very, very attractive. We are going to get less regulation going forward out of the Republican leadership. And I think that we are likely to continue to see stronger economic activity, which of course is good for borrowing. So higher rates, less regulation, more economic growth, and better capital return. Really good total return yield plus some capital growth. And I think this could be a 5-year theme.
Okay, Adobe.
So another key theme. We talked earlier about Amazon. We talked about Shopify. Here's how a company gets revalued. Adobe is the leader, of course, in creating digital media, the suite of tools that people use to create digital media. We know there is an enormous growth rate in the creation of digital media. This is a company that used to sell its software as a package, and then every couple of years you might upgrade to their next version for $1,500 or so. They had an enormous number of people pirating their software. It's a growing pie. A couple of years ago, they said, we're going to start selling this by subscription. We're going to get people to pay us a little every month. We're going to constantly upgrade it for them.
Yeah.
So 2 things happened. First of all, they caught a bunch of pirates who actually needed to have the software and had to wind up subscribing. Second, it's a quickly growing pie. Third, because you create it once and sell it as many times as possible, as their subscriptions go up, their margins go up. Now, they now have 10 million subscribers. There are 7 million users that continue to use old versions that will upgrade. So this is a growth story, but not only that, when you get paid monthly, it's a much better business model than selling something every couple of years. So I think the multiple can expand here. So it's a really interesting company.
And finally, Ingersoll Rand, like Honeywell, a great industrial play.
Yeah, we think that capital spending is set to rise in the U.S. 85% of their business is environmental control, HVAC systems. If they're building commercial buildings, they're being put in or replacing. If there is an infrastructure spend on schools and hospitals and so on, that's a big spend. Their compressor systems are used in construction sites. That's a big spend. So this is a company that you can get exposure to that potential fiscal stimulus. It's a great business to begin with, and they're getting good growth.
David, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
David Burrows has been our guest on Market Call. Thanks very much for watching our show. The Encore presentation airs Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. And remember, Market Call tonight is coming at you at the new time of 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Thanks again for watching, and we'll be back tomorrow.